Hannah Banana YouTube profile photo. But the one thing that stands out the most is Dark Forest, an odd drawing of a rather dark forest, which is something we'll come back to soon. The last folder is the Documents folder, and opening it up gives us two folders, Case Footage and Production. Opening Case Footage, we see something interesting right off the bat. The log file that Hannah mentioned called Federal Evidence Packet. Clicking on it, we see that it does indeed require a password. So with mostly everything looked at, let's take a look at our file paths that we have. Remembering Hannah's note, it says that there are password fragments, which we should be able to find at the paths we're given. Episode 1 had the file path of Documents, Case Footage, Video 1 Notes. So navigating to this area and clicking on the text file actually does give us something, RG90. Okay, seems like we have one fragment. Moving on to episode 2, we see that the file path was Documents, Case Footage, .exports, Backup. But one problem that we immediately run into is that we don't see a folder called .exports. However, the box in the middle of the screen reminds us that we can use the file navigation bar at the top to go directly to these file paths, even if certain folders are hidden. So when we put this file path into the bar and press enter, we're taken to an audio file. Let me go ahead and play the audio file.
Lowercase b, number 3, capital R, capital U.
It sounds like someone, most likely Hannah, did a voice recording on the next password fragment. If we listen closely, we get the following fragment that's on screen now. Next is episode 3. The file path found in it was Documents, Production, Log. And navigating to this area gives us a very weird sounding audio file. It almost sounds like it could be put through a spectrogram. So by downloading the audio file and running it through a spectrogram for analysis, we actually do end up getting the next fragment piece, CNVZ. Episode 4 is next up to be solved. The file path found in it was desktop, art, darkforest.jpg. And going there, we don't immediately see anything. But if you look closely at the bottom left area, we see that there's a bit of text sticking out. With this, we can try to up the brightness levels on the entire image by downloading it and putting it into an image editor of some kind. Upping the brightness on the image actually reveals the next password fragment, DEH. Last but not least, episode 5. The file path for episode 5 was Documents, Case Footage, .exports, Cache Manifest. This seems to be another hidden folder, so if we directly search for the file path, we're taken to the last password fragment, which luckily is just normal text this time around, PBQ ==. The equals sign at the end is usually a dead giveaway that it's encoded in base 64, so if we combine all our fragments and we put it into a base 64 decoder, we end up getting the true password to the log file. Do not trust him. An interesting password for sure, but with the password ready to use, we navigate back to the log file and enter it in. When we press the button that says unlock, it accepts the password and we see that a file was just downloaded. However, something unexpected then happens. A text editor appears on screen out of nowhere, and we see the following message being typed out.
You unlocked it. I couldn't. Encryption can be stubborn like that, but people are predictable. Leave enough pieces scattered around, and someone will always try to solve the puzzle. You did exactly what I needed. The zip file is open now. Thank you for your unknowing cooperation, Jay.
And then we're booted from the remote session as we see that we've lost connection. But who exactly is Jay? Jay seems to be our mystery person for sure, but the only time we've ever heard a Jay name is during the recorded conversation when we heard the name Jared appear. Oh no. No. Did we just help the bad guys? What happened to Hannah then if Jared was the one on the computer? What do they plan to do with the file now that we've unlocked it for them? Oh god, this is not good at all. Wait. Hold on a second. There was that file that was downloaded. It seems to be named exactly like the folder we saw on Hannah's desktop. And when we try to unzip the contents of the file, it's password protected. But luckily, we already know the password. Typing in the password "do not trust him" allows the files to be unzipped, and we see two files, a note for Hannah and a PDF file. Opening the note for Hannah first, it reads,
Hannah, if you're reading this, then I didn't get the chance to explain any of it properly. I started looking into a routine discrepancy in the Q3 allocation reports. It was supposed to be a numbers issue. It wasn't. The deeper I went, the more it became clear that the problem wasn't just financial, it was procedural. Some of the people who should have been flagging this were the ones clearing it. I can't bring this internally. I don't know who's involved beyond what's documented here, and I can't risk the file disappearing before it reaches someone outside the department. The document I've compiled is in this folder. If anything happens to me, take this directly to the FBI. Do not go to anyone here. Do not ask questions locally, just submit it at this link here and walk away. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I didn't want to drag you into something I wasn't sure about. If this turns out to be nothing, then I overreacted and you can yell at me later. But if it isn't, you know what to do. I love you. Your bro, Henry.
Henry must have been on the right path then, especially if he was killed over a recorded conversation and Jared went out of his way to get access to Hannah's computer to seize the files. But what exactly is this document that Henry sent to Hannah? Let's briefly look at the contents of the PDF file that's also in here. Opening up the PDF file, we're met with the following page: Municipal Funds Misappropriation and Evidence Tampering Report, prepared for federal review, prepared by Detective Henry Martinez, Financial Crimes Division. As we go through this document, I'll give a brief summary on each section, but feel free to pause the video if you'd like to read the entire section. The executive summary section explains that the report found signs that city money was being misused. 2 identical $4.2 million payments appeared in the records, which should not happen. When the issue was flagged, someone in the police department quickly changed the records, and the police department later received a $275,000 grant from the same contractor, suggesting a possible cover-up. The summary of findings goes into more detail with the findings of the $4.2 million payments and the potential cover-up of this duplicate payment and a $275,000 grant given to the police department. The associated party section outlines 2 key people who appear in the records tied to suspicious payments. Sergeant Paul Mallory from the Harrison Police Department approved the audit closure and labeled the duplicate payments as an internal mistake, preventing outside review. Jared Vale, also known to us as our mystery person Jay, is a financial controller at City Logistics who signed the invoices connected to duplicate payments and communicated about adjusting the records before the audit was closed. The report does not directly accuse them of a crime, but says the evidence should be reviewed by federal investigators. The evidence summary section outlines the evidence, which we'll look at a bit later in the document. The risk assessment section explains that the evidence suggests someone in internal affairs helped hide the financial problem. Since internal affairs is supposed to oversee the police department, reporting the issue internally may not be safe or unbiased. Because of this, the report recommends a federal investigation. The recommendation section simply recommends that federal investigators need to look into this matter. Scrolling down, we hit the appendix section, which lists out the important evidence. Appendix A appears to be evidence showing Q3 financial allocation records from the City of Harrison's Department of Public Works. We see the rows colored in red show some important information. There's a duplicate project, East Bridge Repair, with City Logistics LLC, where there's been $4.2 million allocated to this project. Then we see a community technology grant for $275,000. These entries must be what the executive summary mentioned about 2 identical payments and that technology grant. Appendix B shows internal email correspondence, where it seems like Jared Vale and Sergeant Paul Mallory were exchanging emails. The emails read as follows:
Paul, appreciate you taking care of the flag duplicate on 4471. Finance was getting jumpy. We'll ensure the community technology grant reflects accordingly next cycle. It's been reclassified as clerical. Archive adjusted. Keep external eyes off it until quarter close. Understood. Clean on our end.
Appendix C appears to show that records were indeed tampered with by Paul Mallory, as we see that the audit system flagged a duplicate disbursement, then was reclassified by Paul as a clerical error and then was closed. Appendix D then shows a clearance authorization memo signed by Paul, which reads as follows:
After review of financial reporting anomaly flagged May 3rd, 2025, the matter has been determined to be administrative in nature. No evidence of misappropriation found. External audit referral is not necessary at this time. Archive relocation approved.
This seems to be a blatant lie and a way to try to cover up what's really going on. A short document for sure, and now it needs to get to the FBI. If we use the link that Henry gave to us, we see a